Well, US President-elect Donald Trump's election victory has just been officially certified today by his former opponent, Kamala Harris. Let's go live to our US correspondent, Reid Butler in Washington, D.C. Reid, this is a stark contrast to 4 years ago.
That's right, Davina, because this is all supposed to be about the peaceful transition of power. Of course, 4 years ago, it was anything but. This time round, thankfully, much more smooth, if not a little bit awkward, especially for Kamala Harris in her role as Vice President. She has to oversee proceedings, so it would have no doubt been a very uncomfortable experience for her. Things are very different this year because of that insurrection 4 years ago. We've got a lot more security on the ground here. There's a huge black fence that is surrounding the Capitol building. 4 years ago, of course, Donald Trump was refusing to concede, and this process that was underway when the Vice President at the time, Mike Pence, was certifying the election results for Joe Biden, it was marred by violence when inflamed Donald Trump supporters mounted the insurrection at the Capitol building and caused a huge amount of damage. 140 police officers injured, protesters shot dead, and so much damage to property here as well. So as I said, this time round much smoother, thankfully. The only thing causing a bit of trouble here is the snow. DC is absolutely blanketed in the stuff. It's right in the thick of this huge polar vortex system that is hitting the eastern states of the United States right now. Multiple states with emergency alerts in place right now. So things icy outside, things certainly icy inside. Here's Kamala Harris a short time ago.
This announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected President and Vice President of the United States, each for a term beginning on the 20th day of January 2025, and shall be entered together with the list of the votes on the journals of the House and the Senate. Thank you very much.
Now, at the time of the insurrection, Vice President Mike Pence was a subject of violent threats. He has just put out a post on X about today's proceedings. He's written, "I welcome the return of order and civility to these historic proceedings and offer my most sincere congratulations and prayers to President Donald J. Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. In 2 weeks from now, Donald Trump will be back on the steps at the Capitol building there for his inauguration, the beneficiary, Davina, of the peaceful transition of power."
It is a contrast. OK, Reid, thank you.
In breaking news, US President-elect Donald Trump's election victory has been formally certified by Vice President Kamala Harris 4 years on from the January 6 insurrection.
Let's bring in former FBI agent Bobby Chacon live from Palm Springs in the US. Good morning to you, Bobby. Harris was tasked with overseeing this certification, which she has called a sacred obligation. It's a pretty stark contrast to what we saw 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago we had riots outside the Capitol, some of whom penetrated the Capitol, and then Vice President Mike Pence, who was Trump's vice president, was there to certify the election as is part of our process. And there were people that were looking for him and saying they were going to try to stop him or string him up, or but a very much of a stark contrast yesterday from 4 years ago.
Yeah, we're just seeing pictures of it now, Bobby. Just can't believe that happened and that long ago, 4 years ago. But as we near this inauguration, the US has got to be on high alert following that attack in New Orleans, of course. How will this inform security as Trump is sworn in?
You know, as odd as it sounds, I'm not sure it will, because the inauguration of the president is always the highest possible security event we have. And so it's hard to imagine that any stone was going to be left unturned even before the incident in New Orleans, particularly because, back in December, I think, U.S. forces took out 2 ISIS operatives in Syria. So, this ISIS sympathizer who attacked New Orleans, we're at war, and it's still in a way with ISIS. And so these threats are ever present. And so I think that the Secret Service and all of the other agencies responsible for protecting the president and former presidents take the inauguration as a top event. And so I think security, I guess it will be, bolstered a little bit, but I can't see it having any. I think it was going to be that secure anyway.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you so much for your time, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby.